I imagine conversations after resurrection, just like you know, your mom walks up to you, and you're running with your dog, and she's gonna have to shake her head and say, "Liam, you were right,"
Yeah.
and um, the I think about conversation. I think about a conversation between Moses and Pharaoh,
Mm.
and Pharaoh's going to be go like, well, I wanted to let you go, but there was something inside of me that just wouldn't let it happen, and so and Moses will
Yeah.
say, it's all right. That's what God was doing. It's what God planned,
All the
and
glory will go back to God.
yeah,
When my mum sees my faith and your faith and all the unbelievers, they see our faith for what it really was. They're not going to glorify us,
no,
although they will be in awe of us, of course. They're really glorifying God because at the end of the day, our faith was given to us. So it's not like
right,
I mustered it up from myself. It's a gracious gift. And we've been given, apart from Jesus Christ, we have been given the greatest faith of anyone. I believe that we have greater faith than King David, than Abraham, possibly the 12 disciples. I believe we have more faith than them because we have faith to believe in something that's greater than just an earthly kingdom, which is not to say that that's less or that's not important. It is
right.
important and it is glorious. The kingdom is going to come on the earth. But for us, we've been given something to believe something that's way greater. Not just the salvation of all, but the universal headship of our head, and that we are the complement of the Christ. All of these amazing things. And we actually believe it. We have close to zero proof. It's just in an ancient book that was written thousands of years ago, where we don't even have the original copies, yet we believe it with such conviction. That's not normal. It's not a normal thing. It's supernatural. It's a miracle. The miracle of belief, to believe in something that the world thinks is impossible. And our light shines the brightest when we're surrounded by the darkness. So when we experience death and sin and wickedness and betrayal of ourselves, and that could come from believers or unbelievers, we
Hmm.
shine the brighter. That's why we have to suffer. We have to go into the process of dying. We have to witness death. We have to feel it. We have to see the betrayal. We have to feel it. In order for us to manifest those fruits of the Spirit, there has to be the opposites of the fruits of the Spirit surrounding us in order to do
And there's a lot of weird beliefs around, a lot of weird cults and all that stuff. But what sets us apart is love, um, acceptance. Um, I'm running out of words, but it's all good. There's no threats, there's no pressure, there's none of these things that goes with cults. And I've heard people argue about what's the best religion, Christianity or Islam, but typical Christianity and Islam aren't that much different in reality because
it.
they all end up with an angry God
Yep.
that's going to destroy their enemies. And
Yep.
where what we've been given is total love, total acceptance, total inclusion, total, um, I don't know, run out of words to explain it, but
We've been given the evangel of the happy God,
yes.
whereas the Muslims and Christians both believe in an afterlife where unbelievers will be tormented in a hellish landscape, because the Muslims also believe in hell
Right.
or their equivalent of hell. It's an awful thing. And like I said, I don't even use the word hatred a lot. Like, I don't hate Christianity. I don't hate Islam. I don't even hate Satan, but I hate death. That one's real because you experience it every single day. But yet, God gave us the faith to know that He's using death for the ultimate good and that one day it will be abolished. And that's what got me through the grieving process. And what's going to continue to get me through all the grieving processes when my family dies, when my brother dies, if I have more pets, if they die in the future, when my friends die. It's going to get me through the storm. and it gets us through the storm. So we need to remember that. And God has ultimately arranged this meeting so that I can remind you guys who are watching, your faith is important. And God gave you real faith, not just the idea of faith in a religion to believe in dogmas and systems. He gave you faith to believe in the truth that's found in his written word, a truth that is so beautiful, so glorious and magnificent that I cannot put it into words. You can read it in Ephesians, you can read it in Colossians, you can read it all throughout Scripture, actually, because it's all a part of one book. You can see the sovereignty of God everywhere. And if we just focus on that more and more, and we keep our eyes on things above, the fruit of the Spirit, love, joy, peace, patience, meekness, self-control, faithfulness, all of these things will come naturally. So you don't have to consciously do it. It's just happening naturally. And that's what I saw in myself when I lost my dog. It's a feeling of peace and grief and sadness and loss all mixed up into one. And also joy at the same time, because I'm going to see her again. And that's really the core of the message today that God put into my heart to speak to you guys, which we will see our dead loved ones again. So regardless of how horrific this life will get, how boring it might seem, whatever happens, keep your eyes on things above and know that our Father is for us. And if he is for us, then who is against us? No one is. And the death will be conquered one day. In fact, it already has. We just have to wait to see it out.
Right. Take our time. Well, and the older you get, the more you go through these experiences, your parents die, your uncles and aunts, your friends, and so it becomes a more common experience that you're going with. I tease my siblings that they have to. I'm the oldest one, so likely I won't have to attend any of their funerals, but they will have to attend mine. But yeah, it's just, I think about it. Life it becomes more real because you're experiencing it more and more and more as you grow older. And I like the thought you had about something we don't have. It's not something that we have to cook up. It's just something that's there. And some days, growing up in a religious system, we were always trying, I got to have more faith, I got to have more love. I got to be more forgiving. It was always this, you're never sure you had enough. And you didn't even know how much enough was, but now it's so relaxing and almost feels wrong, but but that's the peace and freedom that we enjoy when with this faith that you're talking about.
Right. It's the kind of faith that I've noticed within myself that when I'm put into dark situations like grief, or when the world is falling apart and things like this, like in 2020, for example, I can remember back then and also today when I'm going through these processes that my faith increases when you're going through those dark times. When things are mundane, when things are going well, your faith is kind of dormant. It's still there, but if you've got a nice house, your family's alive, your health is well, it's kind of dormant. You don't really praise God as much because things are going well. But when things go badly, that's, for me at least, that's when I feel it growing. And when you actually kind of see it, it's just like what happened to our Apostle Paul when he was imprisoned. He wrote Ephesians and Colossians and Philippians. That's when the greatest truth came out, when you're being tested, when you're being punished by Satan, when you're being targeted, things like this, when you're being hated by the world. And in that way, I kind of pray for it because I would rather have this faith and feel it within me and have that deep connection with our Father than to have all the wealth of this world combined. Because what does it benefit a man to have the entirety of the world at his fingertips, but he has no faith, or at least he doesn't feel it within him? I pray for more circumstances like that, which sounds crazy. Like, why would you want to go through more hardship? But that's what I want, because I know that it produces testedness. It produces real faith. And that's really what matters, at least to me. I'm speaking for myself here. I don't care about the things of the world, which is not to say that the things of the world are necessarily bad, like owning a house or having a successful career. You know, you can do those things if you want. But for me, all I care about, at least to the fullest extent, is my relationship with my Father, my relationship with my head, my relationship with me and you, heralding the truth, learning more things about it, God revealing what's true and what's not true within me so I can grow more in the Spirit. That's what's most important to me. And when I go through these experiences, God reminds me of that. Because before that, you're kind of just drifting from day to day and you're just going through the motions. And then God wakens you up with a death, with something so horrific, so traumatizing, the death of your loved ones. It's almost like he wakes you up, he smacks you across the face, and he makes you realize what's really important. You know, our home is not in this world. This world will come and go. Our future role is in the celestials. So all of these things are temporary, which is not to say that we forsake our families. No, of course not. Paul tells us to love our families in Ephesians, no less. But to hold loosely on these things, because ultimately it's not our destiny to be on this earth. Our destiny is to be with our head and to accomplish something that's far more glorious than anything that we could do on this world. That's just from my heart.
Yeah.
So
I appreciate that. Life is a preparation. It's not a test like Christianity would have you think. It's a preparation. And so
right.
the hard times and to think that when we're done with this, the hard times are over. You know, and so each of these hard times is building something in us, preparing us for something. And I often think about that a poor family in the Sudan are going to, in some ways, maybe experience God in a way that I won't,
Right.
because I've never worried about where my next meal is coming from. You know, up to this point, I've not had missiles shooting around me or any of that, and so I think hard times, like you say, are are key to our preparation, to our development.
We were put here in this wicked world, of course, to experience good things, but
Right.
mainly we were put here in this world to suffer. That's why we're here, because it's almost like God is grooming us for our future roles to rule the entire creation. The more you suffer, the more glory you get. There's different levels of glorification. And just in that exact same way, there's different experiences of suffering. You know, I'm not a person who lives in a third world country. I don't know what it's like to be homeless. I don't know what it's like to have cancer, for example. So there's many things that I've not experienced. And yet there's many things that I have experienced that's unique to me. All of these things are being used by our Father to groom us into the positions that we're going to have in the future. So it's not just like what I said at the beginning. God is creating the sequel. He's going to tell you why you had to suffer. It's not random. Our suffering is actually, at least while we're here on this earth in this age, is actually more important than anything else. We're meant to suffer because when you suffer, that's when you become more like Christ, who is the image of the invisible God. He displayed the greatest display of faith and obedience and love when he was going to the cross, when he was undergoing the most brutal suffering that anyone has ever went through. It's not when he was a teenage boy just going through the motions. You know, I'm sure he went through sufferings then, but nowhere close to what he went to at the cross. And it's the exact same principle of us. So whether we go into death when we're old or young, or whatever happens in our life, we always have that faith to go through the sufferings, not to avoid them, but to go through them and to have that faith when we're going through the sufferings. And it's so important that we remember that because we will forget it. I'm going to forget it. You're going to forget it. And everyone else who's watching this is going to forget it one day. So that's why we need to remind one another. God used this experience, the loss of my beloved dog, to remind me what's truly important.
But God also gave you the 12 years of joy that you had with that dog. And I think, family, good experiences are part of life. It's important as part of life as well, because the contrast teaches us, it gives us hope. If all we did was suffer, it would be hard to have any hope at all. But just, to experience love. And I know there are people that don't, but I know we're fortunate enough to know that we have families that care about us, that, um, we've had health issues, we've been, healed. And so we go through these things that are all lessons for us in our preparation.
The best is yet to come. And
Yeah.
the days that I got to spend with my dog and my family, and your days with your family and so on, they're just tastes of what's
Yeah.
to come. The best is yet to come.